Hi everyone, today we are talking about books I have yet to read that are on the topics of philosophy, history, and morals. So getting started, I got this book at Barnes & Noble because I live in a Barnes & Noble. I'm joking. I love that place though. It's also the only bookstore that I really have in my area, so I saw it on the shelf and I was like, I need this. I actually skipped through it the one day to see what's in it, and I do like a lot of it. My favorite part is when they question God. Whenever I say that, people get offended, but hear me out. The logical problem of evil. I'll read this to you guys. Number 1, if God wishes to prevent evil and is not able to, then God is feeble. Number 2, if God is able to get rid of evil but does not want to, then God is a bad, God. Number 3, if God does not wish to get rid of evil and is not able to get rid of evil, then God is basically terrible and therefore he is not God. Number 4, if God wants to get rid of evil and is able to get rid of evil, then why does evil exist in the world and why has God not gotten rid of it? And on the other page it says, this is the argument that the very existence of evil is proof that there is no God. Now, I told one of my Christian friends this, and they were like, but evil is at war with good. So you can't really blame God for not being able to fix things. However, in my opinion, it's hard to say you're God if you can't have God power. Obviously, I just offended the whole country by saying that. However, I like thinking about things in depth. I like discussing things with an open mind. I hate when you have to walk around eggshells around people. You can't discuss certain things because they get offended. I just want to have a conversation. I had a friend who they couldn't mention witchcraft in their household or their parents would literally have a panic attack because they thought that witches were evil. And just the fact that we can't discuss certain things just makes me so sad. It's not really healthy to stay in a box. We gotta think out of the box, even if it contradicts our current beliefs. Next up, A Guide to the Good Life. I got this book because I have depression and I wanted to read something that would hopefully make me feel better, because the whole point of this book is really just how to be joyful. Haven't read it yet, but I'm honestly really scared too, because what if I read it and I just come out more depressed? I forgot where I was reading this, but somebody told me that philosophers have a higher rate of depression because they're always thinking about things, and I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, you can't just hold info inside of you. Next up, we have Why Darwin Matters. I bought this book when I was 13 at a church sale. Okay, it was $1, and I still haven't read it because I just never got around to it. But I really love evolution, and although I probably should have just got the Charles Darwin book about evolution, they didn't have that at the church, obviously, so I ended up getting this. Next up, we have World Encyclopedia of Dinosaurs and Prehistoric Creatures. I've had this book since I was also 13. I'm pretty sure it's outdated because I got it, literally 10 years ago, but it's a pretty good book. It discusses how evolution happens and the evolution and the anatomy of dinosaurs. I didn't read the full thing. I know the beginning, but yeah, I would love to finish the book though. Next up, we have The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs. I really want to read this because when I talked to the employee at Barnes & Noble, he said this is the most updated book because the dinosaurs have feathers. It's not an illustrated dinosaur book this is what this dinosaur looked like the last book, but it's really informative, and I hope that when I read it, I really enjoy it. And next up, I have The Rise and Reign of the Mammals, which is pretty much part 2 of the last book, because after the dinosaurs, there's mammals. It's hardcover. I want it paperback, but I couldn't get it in paperback. And next up, I also have Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. I just wanted to have a book based on human evolution. In case you guys didn't know, there was actually other species of human. Isn't that so cool? But they went extinct. And next up, we have books on morals. So first of all, the feminism book. I didn't read it fully. I know parts of it, but for the most part, I would just love to read it in full. and learn more information from the book, obviously. Honestly, after like flipping through it, like just by flipping through, I could see that a lot of topics are missing, but it's also like the only book I could find right now that is dedicated to feminism. It's a really good starting point, but isn't the complete book for feminists, honestly. I also want to read the Toxic Masculinity book because I find it kind of ironic how men created misogyny to hinder women, but now men are being punished by their suffering with toxic masculinity because of what the men before them have done. So obviously I want to read that. Hopefully it's good. But anyway, moving on to animals. I get really, really sad when I find out they've been hurt. I really wish there was more animal rights because right now there is like nothing protecting horses. There is like nothing protecting birds. It makes me so sad, especially for wildlife because like the wildlife are wild. They just want to live in the wild. And then people are like, let me own it. It makes me so sad. So getting right into it, this is the first book I got. It's called Save the Animals, 101 Easy Things You Can Do. Next up we have A Plea for the Animals, the moral, philosophical, and evolutionary imperative to treat all beings with compassion. I also got Animals Matter, a biologist explains why we should treat animals with compassion and respect. Did you know that people who hurt animals are more likely to hurt people? Which it makes a lot of sense, because if you can't even respect a dog, how are you going to respect people who are way, way more complex and complicated? Anyway. Dominion, the power of man, the suffering of animals, and the call to mercy. I want to talk about it, but I didn't read it yet, so I don't know. Next up I have Wild Justice, the moral lives of animals. This book discusses how there are people who think that animals have no feelings, and that makes me so sad, because like if you kick a dog, they will cry. They feel pain. They know what suffering is. Like I've seen dogs be in pain. I've seen cats be in pain, like horses suffering. They have feelings. One time I was hanging out with somebody who's Christian by force and I can't vibe with that person because they were like, what are you into? And I was like, oh, I like animals, you know, I like learning about animals. This was before I had like a mythology hyperfixation. And they were like already so defensive because how on earth could I like animals? They found out I was vegetarian. They got really mad because they think that God made animals, therefore we have the right to use them. And they also thought how animals have no feelings because feelings could only happen for people and people are not animals. What? Like, humans are animals. Like, we literally are Homo sapiens. We're mammals. But they think that, you know, only humans have feelings. And we're not animals, so animals can't have feelings. What? Like, it's just, yeah, it made me so frustrated. Whatever. Anyway. And I also got The End of Animal Farming, how scientists, entrepreneurs, and activists are building an animal-free food system. Yeah, I don't know if I'll really read these books, like, because, like, some books I feel like, for me, only get one read, then I'm done with it. I only keep books if I know I'm going to reread them. And, like, obviously, I keep my mythology books because I'm going to reread it. With these books, I feel like I'll just be sad, and then I'll get rid of them. I don't know. I bought them because I wanted to expand my knowledge on animal rights, but I feel like you get that by looking on the internet. Now, someone could tell me, well, you could learn mythology by looking it up on the internet, but it's different when it's online. You know, like, I feel like when you're learning ethics and politics online, it just makes sense to use the internet because you're trying to stay the most up to date. Mythology doesn't really change because the stories are already said and done. You know what I mean? So, obviously, it is what it is. I guess that's it. I am so tired. I want to do another book recommendation video, but I don't know if I will be able to for a while because I literally talked about all my books so far, except for novels I haven't read, self-help books too, If you guys are interested in that, let me know. But until I make another video, I will see you guys in the future. And if you want to support the channel, then please go subscribe. And you could also donate to my PayPal, Cash App, or use my Amazon wish list. Anyway, bye!